the winter of 1944, German scouts photographed an American armored division massing near the front. Dozens of Sherman tanks, trucks, artillery, and army preparing to strike. They were looking at one of the most dangerous forces on the Western Front. There was just one problem. A single soldier could pick up a 30-ton tank with one hand. Because it wasn't a tank. It was rubber, 93 pounds of inflated canvas. The trucks were empty shells. The artillery was hollow. The entire army was a performance, staged by a secret unit of artists, actors, and sound engineers whose job was to fight World War II with illusions. They called them the Ghost Army. By 1944, the Allied front stretched for hundreds of miles across Europe, and it was full of holes. There were never enough men to cover every gap. The Germans found a weak point they could punch through. So the U.S. Army tried something no army had ever formalized. Instead of plugging the gaps with real divisions, they would plug them with fake ones. In early 1944, they activated a top-secret outfit with a forgettable name. 23rd Headquarters Special Troops. About 1,100 men. But these weren't ordinary soldiers. The Army had gone recruiting in art schools and advertising agencies and design studios. The ranks filled with painters, illustrators, set designers, and sound men. Among them were men who would become famous after the war. The fashion designer Bill Blass, the painter Ellsworth Kelly, the photographer Art Kane. They had been handed the strangest assignment of the war, to become a traveling illusion that could impersonate an entire armored division and make the Germans bet their lives on the lie. The deception worked in layers. First was what you could see. The men inflated rubber tanks, trucks, jeeps, and cannons, built by the same companies that made tires and life rafts. From a few hundred yards, or from the air, a 93-pound balloon was indistinguishable from a 30-ton Sherman. They'd arrange them in convincing formations, leave fake tracks in the mud, and even bulldoze tread marks leading in. The second illusion was sound. The unit carried half-ton speakers mounted on trucks, loaded with recordings made at a secret studio. The rumble of tank columns, the clank of treads, men shouting, bridges being built. On a still night, the sound carried up to 15 miles. The Germans in the dark, an empty field roared like an army on the move. The third illusion was the airwaves. Skilled radio operators imitated the Morse fist of real units that had moved on, pumping out hours of fake traffic so German listeners would map a division that wasn't there. And then there was the fourth layer, the one only artists would think of. They called it atmosphere. The men would sew on the patches of whatever division they were pretending to be, paint its markings on their trucks, and walk into nearby towns to be seen. Loud, sloppy, gossiping in cafes where they knew German spies were listening. Two-star generals were impersonated by men who days earlier had been painting billboards. They were a theater company in uniform, and the stage was the front line. An army of artists fooling the Wehrmacht is exactly the kind of story this channel exists for. Hit subscribe. There's a new one every week. It was also dangerous work. The Ghost Army's entire purpose was to be noticed, to draw fire toward themselves and away from the real troops. They impersonated forces, 10, 20, 30 times their own size, often within range of the German guns, protected by nothing but the quality of the lie. Their masterpiece came in March 1945. The U.S. Ninth Army was about to make a real crossing of the Rhine, the last great barrier into Germany. To hide where the blow would land, the Ghost Army staged Operation Viersen. They impersonated two entire divisions, around 30,000 men, several miles from the true crossing point. Inflatables, sound, radio, atmosphere, every illusion at full volume. The Germans took the bait. They moved guns and attention toward the phantom divisions and away from the place where the Ninth Army actually crossed. The real attack went in against weakened defenses. Historians estimate the Ghost Army's deceptions across the war saved many thousands of lives. About 1,100 men with rubber and sound and nerve had helped open the door into Germany. And then they were ordered to forget it. When the war ended, the men of the Ghost Army went home and were told to tell no one what they had done. Their entire war was stamped secret. For 50 years, fathers and grandfathers said nothing. Some died never able to explain the strangest, most ingenious thing they had ever been part of. The Army finally declassified the unit in 1996, and in March 2024, nearly 80 years after the war, Congress awarded the Ghost Army its highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal. By then, of the more than 1,000 men who had served, only a handful were still alive to receive it. 3 of them, in their late 90s, were there in person to finally be thanked for a war they had been forbidden to mention. The Ghost Army is a reminder that wars aren't only won by who has the most steel. Sometimes the decisive weapon is imagination, the ability to make the enemy see an army that was never there. 1,000 artists spent the war painting a lie so convincing it moved real divisions and saved real lives. And their reward was to keep it secret for half a century. The best deceptions are the ones nobody ever finds out about. This one almost stayed that way. This one surprised you. Hit subscribe. There's a new story every week. Drop a like so more people meet the Ghost Army. And tell me in the comments, if you'd been recruited into a secret unit of artists, what illusion would you have built to fool an army? I read them all.